I never thought the person who would betray me most would be the one I called my best friend. My name is Emily, and for most of my life I believed loyalty was simple. You help the people you love, they help you back, and friendship means safety. But the day my best friend, Rachel, sold my house behind my back, I learned that trust can be the most dangerous thing in the world. It all started 3 years ago when my husband passed away suddenly. The house we built together was the only thing I had left of him. Every wall carried a memory, our laughter, our plans, the small fights that ended with smiles. I wasn't ready to move on, but the world doesn't stop for grief. Bills kept coming, and my small floral business wasn't enough to cover everything. That's when Rachel stepped in like an angel. She said she'd help me manage things, said I shouldn't carry the weight alone. I let her handle my paperwork, my bills, even some bank forms. I trusted her like family. She knew my passwords, my mortgage details, everything. I thought she was helping me because she cared, but looking back, that was when the cracks started forming. Rachel and I had been friends since college. She was the wild one, the one who made me laugh when I took life too seriously. When I lost my husband, she practically moved into my house to keep me company. She'd cook, clean, talk about how one day I'd rebuild my life again. She called me her sister, and I believed her. A few months later, she suggested something that sounded logical at first. She said, "Em, your bills are piling up. Why don't we refinance your house? It'll lower your payments and give you breathing space." I hesitated, but she convinced me. She said she'd find a broker, said she'd handle the paperwork. I signed where she told me to. I thought it was just refinancing. I didn't know she'd started a process that would transfer ownership. For weeks, everything seemed fine. I noticed she was spending more time on her phone, stepping outside to take calls, whispering when I entered the room. When I asked, she laughed it off. "Just work, Em, don't worry." I didn't. That was my mistake. One Friday evening, a man came to the door wearing a suit and holding papers. He said he was here for a final inspection before the sale. I stared at him, confused. "What sale?" I asked. He looked at me like I was joking. "The sale of the property. The buyer's final check is being processed." My heart dropped. I told him there must be a mistake. He showed me the document. My signature was there, except it wasn't mine. It was forged. My knees went weak. I called for Rachel, but she wasn't home. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Panic filled me. I ran to my drawer where I kept the house papers. They were gone. Every single file missing. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room staring at the photos on the wall, wondering how this could happen. The next morning I went to the police, but they said it looked like a legal transaction since my signature was there. I couldn't prove forgery without evidence. I felt trapped, like my life was slipping away piece by piece. Days turned into weeks, and Rachel still hadn't returned. Her apartment was empty, her number disconnected. I found out from a mutual friend that she'd taken a trip overseas, bought a ticket under a different name. That's when I knew this wasn't confusion. It was betrayal. My best friend had planned everything. She'd tricked me into signing away my home and sold it for nearly twice its value. She disappeared with the money, while I was left with nothing. I tried everything: lawyers, police, even private investigators, but without solid proof, no one could help. I rented a small room above a bakery and spent nights crying, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation we ever had. I asked myself the same question over and over: how could someone you love look you in the eye and destroy you so completely? For months I was broken. But pain, when it burns long enough, turns into something else. One morning I looked in the mirror and decided I wouldn't be a victim anymore. If Rachel could play games, I could learn the rules. I was going to find her, and I was going to get my life back. Finding Rachel wasn't easy, but anger gives you a strange kind of focus. I started with the bank statements and noticed a transfer to an unfamiliar account right before she disappeared. I went to the bank pretending I'd lost access to my account and needed to confirm details. The teller said the account was closed, but showed me the name linked to it. Rachel's cousin, Mark. That was the first crack in her plan. I visited Mark's small office pretending to be delivering flowers for his birthday. While he signed the receipt, I looked around and saw a photo of him and Rachel on a beach I recognized from a travel vlog. It was Bali. I went home and spent hours scrolling through travel hashtags until I found a post of Rachel laughing near the same resort, captioned with a new name: Rochelle Marlowe. She'd reinvented herself. My heart raced, but I smiled for the first time in months. I knew where she was. I couldn't afford to fly there, but I didn't need to. I just needed proof that she'd forged my signature. I contacted a lawyer friend who explained how digital records of property transfers were stored. We searched and found the document ID, and to my shock, the electronic record showed the IP address used to sign it remotely. It matched Rachel's home Wi-Fi. That was the nail in her perfect little coffin. I gathered every file, every message, and went to the police again. This time they listened. The investigation took weeks, but it felt like years. The police traced Rachel's activities and discovered she'd forged documents on 3 other properties, always using people who trusted her. When the arrest warrant was issued, I thought I'd feel relief, but what I felt was emptiness. She was my best friend. We shared secrets, birthdays, laughter. When they finally brought her back to face charges, I went to the courthouse. She looked different: expensive clothes, tanned skin, but when our eyes met, she froze. I wanted to scream, to ask her why, but the words stuck in my throat. In court, she tried to twist the story, said I'd given her permission, said I was confused from grief. But the digital trail was undeniable. The forged signature, the fake accounts, the property transfer logs all led back to her. When the verdict came, the judge's words echoed through the room: guilty of fraud, forgery, and theft. Rachel's face crumbled. For a moment, I saw the friend I once knew, the one who hugged me through tears, but I couldn't feel pity anymore. Justice wasn't sweet. It was heavy, like closing a door on a past you can never reopen. After the trial, the court ordered restitution. The buyer of my house, who had also been misled, agreed to return it once the bank reversed the transaction. The first night I stepped back into my home, everything felt smaller yet stronger. The air smelled like dust and memory, but I could finally breathe. I walked through every room, touched every wall, and whispered to my late husband that it was finally over. The pain didn't vanish, but something inside me settled. I rebuilt my floral business, turned part of the living room into a small studio, and started sharing my story online to warn others. People wrote to me saying they'd trusted the wrong friends too, that my story gave them courage. Sometimes at night I still think about Rachel and wonder if she ever feels regret, sitting wherever she is, behind cold walls thinking about what she lost. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't, but I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone hurt you again. It means taking your power back. My best friend sold my house, but she couldn't sell my strength. Betrayal broke me once, but justice built me again. And if there's one thing I'll never forget, it's that trust is precious. Guard it, because once it's gone, no amount of money can buy it back.